Have you ever been exploring Left 4 Dead and come across a place that doesn't sit quite right with you? You could maybe call it dark or disturbing or maybe unsettling. Well, in today's video we're going to be checking out some dark and disturbing areas in Left 4 Dead 2. This is the second part of these videos, and I have been doing these similar types of videos, but with these dark and disturbing ones, I want to take a closer look at environmental storytelling in Left 4 Dead and less places out of the map. If we hit 1,000 likes, I'll be showing 2 pictures of my bunnies. Now, we didn't hit the like goal for the last video. That's okay. It didn't do quite well. That's completely fine. You know, you win some, you lose some. I still posted a picture anyways because it was Christmas and I felt like you guys have been helping me so much with these videos that it really didn't matter. So thank you guys so much for liking. Thank you guys so much for commenting. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. And without further ado, let's get into some dark and disturbing places in Left 4 Dead 2. Now, for the first dark and disturbing place in Left 4 Dead 2 for today's video, I decided to do the second map on the passing. And a lot of people might just walk through this place, come right out of the safe room, not even give it a second look. I'm pretty sure this map will always be rainy right as you come out of the safe room. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I assume that's the case. And when you turn director off and you don't have to worry about any zombies, this particular area feels very downtrodden. And that's where, in my opinion, the more darker aspect comes from, is the fact that it's so downtrodden. Now, you could argue that the entirety of Left 4 Dead is downtrodden, so wouldn't that make the entire game dark? And by that definition, it would. But if we're just using that word to describe this place in particular, that's why I feel it's dark. If we look on the left and right, we can see that there's liquor stores, there's pawn shops, there's ATMs, there's beers, there's Jules freshwater crawfish, and if I'm not mistaken, this is the same place that you see on the intro of the parish. So it actually connects these two maps. You can see store-wide clearance signs. And at this point, I've pretty much just been touring you guys around this area, right? But what I find also disturbing about this place, the fact that when you come into the houses, similarly to the hard rain, you can hear the rain hitting the outside, and it sounds very calming, yet spooky. And these are the things you don't really realize when you play through the map normally. There's this park area that you can sit down and enjoy a nice cup of coffee. There's trees here that try to block the rain from you. The different back alleys you can explore. This is just the vibe of the map and the dark tone that I get from this area in particular. After you jump down to the next area and you make it into the underground part of this map, it loses this sort of rainy urban mixture. Walking through the city, the clashing of the colors reminds me of something like Cyberpunk. You know, in Cyberpunk there's many different colors, and that's a different type of game, and it's a more futuristic style. The clashing is what makes it really stand out to me. There's another liquor store, there's more trash, there's tattoos. I've never done a colored tattoo. And as you just heard Nick say, he's never done a colored tattoo. There's very specific lines of dialogue for this place that people don't even see. There's assets that are only used inside this specific building, and it's sad. You know, there's a lady sitting here slumped over, hands bloodied. Who knows who she was? Maybe she was the tattoo artist, maybe she was someone wanting to get a tattoo. You can try to open this door, but you won't be able to make your way in there. And I guess Left 4 Dead is a game that's just disturbing by default when you don't have anyone in it. But this place in particular looks so alive. Like, it looks like you would come here on a Saturday night with your friends to chill, but there's no one here. I mean, you know, if you play the game naturally, there's zombies everywhere, but naturally when you come here and you look at the place for what it is and you look at the environmental storytelling, it's pretty eerie. But this was a little on the down low. Let's move to a little bit more dark and disturbing places in Left 4 Dead 2. Now, for the next dark and disturbing place in Left 4 Dead 2, I bring you guys to Death Toll on the 3rd/4th chapter of the map, and it's actually the safe room. Now, the reason I bring you guys to the safe room is because there is actually a living person in here, and a lot of you know that you don't actually meet that many quote-unquote living people in the world of Left 4 Dead 2. Actually, in fact, you don't physically see any actual real alive person other than the main survivors, that being group 1 and group 2. So when you first come up to the safe house, you can actually hear a man inside going quote unquote crazy.
I can't believe he bit me. I can't believe he bit me. Better safe than sorry. Better safe than sorry, better safe than sorry, better safe than sorry. I can hear you out there!
Well, obviously he's talking about being immune, and it's been an hour already, so he doesn't think he's gonna turn. And as he continues to speak in the first half, he sounds normal-ish, but you can kind of tell that he's giving away a little bit. And when the survivors approach the door, he says that, hey, he hears you, he's gonna ring the bell if you keep knocking, and when you go to interact with the door...
Go away! No one gets in!
What?
I can make you leave. Don't believe me? How about now?
I don't believe this.
and he'll ring the bell and it'll signal a horde. After the horde is done, you can come into the safe room, open it up, and you'll see that whoever was in here actually got turned into a special infected. But there's more than just him turning into a special infected. A lot of people know if you come into the room and you go upstairs, you can see that what he was saying, better safe than sorry, better safe than sorry, better safe than sorry, he was wronged in some type of way. Now, what way? You can infer from what he says. I'm assuming he let somebody in, or maybe a group of people in, and that's what ended up getting him infected. He might have gotten bitten by one of those people he let in, and that's what started to make his time not so great. Been in here for at least 12 days is what it looks like to me. Now, checking this safe room, you can obviously see he's been living in here. He has a bunch of guns, he has food stocked up, possibly water, he has a bunch of ammunition, he has med kits. There's what seems to be an extra room behind here but isn't accessible in the base game without using no clip. But one of the most disturbing aspects of this place is the fact that he turned into a special infected. But why did he turn into a special? Why didn't he turn into a normal infected? When you open the door, why isn't it just a normal zombie? Why is it one of the special infected? But let's move into the next strange, mysterious place in Left 4 Dead 2. For the next dark and disturbing place, I bring you to the third map on Swamp Fever called Shanti Town. I thought it was called Shorty Town this entire time. That is not correct. It's Shanti Town. That makes a lot more sense. But in this safe room, before we go out there and before we explore, I want you to take a look at this specific writing on the wall right here that says, "Don't let outsiders in. We only got food and water for us." That kind of sets the tone for what we're about to see. Now, a lot of people in Left 4 Dead, the alive quote-unquote people that you don't see but that you meet, are always very accepting. So it is kind of a stark contrast when you see people or writing on the walls that aren't really accepting, and it makes sense. It's a zombie apocalypse. Not everyone is going to see eye to eye. You're going to have people like that. That kind of sets the stage for what we're about to look at. And it's not in your face, but there are a couple environmental storytelling details that I find pretty interesting, or you could say dark and disturbing. As you come out of the safe room, you see this giant constructed wall that was made to probably keep outsiders but zombies mostly out. You can see that either this was a door or the wall was bashed in by this car. I figure it was most likely an actual door that they would pry open, or else how would cars get in here unless the wall was constructed around the cars? But then why even keep the cars inside if they can't get out? This beer shop, I assume, was turned into a stockpile zone, someplace where they could get their resources and just put it in an area to store it. As we look to our right and left, we can see that there are two shacks that were built most likely to hold people for either sleeping or storage. You can find items in here. There's ladders, there's hay bales, and the other one over here, this one is more filled with trash, junk items, a bunch of cardboard on the ground. It looks like people were most likely sleeping in these. As you move your way through the map, you start to see some kind of disturbing things. There's a bunch of blood in this one house. Someone was either sleeping or fell down, and they were visibly dragged from this position to another position. As you make your way out of the house, you find this really interesting sight. Now, I don't really know what this is supposed to mean. It could be something simply as it's garbage where the townfolk gathered together and dumped all their extra bodies. But if it weren't for these cows, I would just think that. However, I've seen these specific cows in Blood Harvest. I'll put a picture on the screen for you guys, but they look exactly the same. And I actually don't know why. Now, I thought I might have seen something in a YouTube video or something about these cows, but I forget. So if you guys remember or you know what I'm talking about, let me know down below in the comment section and I'll heart it if I read it. But I gotta do some more research on these cows because it seems like the virus is affecting them in some way. Unlike the people in the parish, these seem to be zombies before they were killed. You can see that they're kind of distorted and kind of weird looking. As you make your way out of here, there's more houses you'll come across. There's fire barrels. As you continue to make your way through this level, you'll pass by some of these more houses. You'll walk down this area right here. You'll use some of these pre-made bridges to make your way through the swamp. And you'll find this camp right here with someone who was cut in half and dragged. Now, I don't know how they were cut in half. It looks to me that they were indeed cut in half because this is a pretty straight cut. It doesn't look like it was bitten or anything, but I can't seem to find the second half of this guy. But let's move into the next dark and mysterious place. For the next map, I bring you to Dark Carnival, which is by far a lot of people's most favorite map or campaign in the entire game. But this very first area is a big trope that you see in a lot of zombie movies, titles, games, whatever it is. You see a lot of crashed highways. As the world is going on, it collapses, so it makes sense. People are on the road. Zombie outbreak happens. People get stuck on the road. They abandon their cars. And as Nick just said, these cars go on for miles. So I assume that this highway or something is going towards some important sort of city or maybe big metropolitan area that we don't get to see. But some of these cars indeed still work. This van here, for example, its tail lights are on, and as you come around, its headlights are on as well. You can jump up on top of it, you can look around, you can see that none of these cars are on. It seems to be this single van right here. This set dressing is used very well because they use light to sort of light up the areas that they want the survivors to follow. There's a lot of police cars that you can find up here. There's clothes scattered throughout. There's a bunch of dead bodies. And what I find interesting is the fact that you can find these little encampment areas where there seems to be guitars, shotguns. There's people over here who have been draped with cloth and hid. Maybe loved ones came and saw their family members perish, and maybe they couldn't do a necessary burial, so they decided to do this for respect. Or maybe people didn't know they were infected and thought they were just dead, so covered their bodies. Another interesting thing here is the luggage that you can find, and this luggage asset is very similar to the one you can see in Dead Air. There's more luggage over here, and this entire scene reminds me of a movie called Leave the World Behind. If you guys never watched it, it's about a theory or the idea that the world can be taken down extremely easily. The world as in America in the movie, where America is cut off from communication. No one can talk to each other. So instead of an invading enemy from a foreign entity, the people destroy themselves from within. And the reason I bring up this movie is the fact that they have a scene very similar to this, but they use Tesla vehicles in which the Tesla vehicles are hacked and then smashed on roadways to cut off main access points into cities. This isn't really a dark place. It falls more on the disturbing aspect. It's not something you wouldn't see in a zombie apocalypse movie. It's sort of displayed in a very interesting manner, especially with a lot of these dead bodies just here in the middle of each of the roads. But yeah, let's move on to the next disturbing area. Now for the last dark and disturbing area in Left 4 Dead 2, I bring you to the first map in the later half of it in the Sacrifice. But this is the scripted tank fight where you have to fight off a military derailed train tank. And you might think, oh, I already know what he's going to show. Everyone has always talked about this moment. I mean, as normal players do come across this place naturally, why would it be that interesting? Why is it that dark? Well, there's more than just dead bodies in the train car. As you come up, you can hear the tank growl. You jump down and you prepare to fight. So once you kill the tank, you're actually able to explore the next area by opening this part of the car. But before you do that, you can take a look at inside the train car, and you can see that it's a horrible bloody mess. You can see that the tank went to town just brutally massacring everybody in this train car. And there's a few theories to what this is depicting, but the first theory, which is accepted, is that the tank derailed the train or something derailed the train. But a lot of people think that it's the tank that derailed the train. Well, in my opinion, that doesn't really make any sense. I mean, it's possible, but how could he derail this entire system, knock up concrete, explode all this stuff while still being inside the train car? You can see that after he killed these people, their blood started dripping out of the train and started falling down onto the side of this wall. It's a pretty interesting detail that they actually went through the effort of adding. But what I want to show you guys that a lot of people don't show is the scale. This entire place is derailed. This train wasn't going anywhere. How could it go anywhere? This place goes straight into the ocean. If you check back here, all of this is derailed, which could have in fact been from the train that was carrying this thing. But as you look on the side of this train, you can see that it's US numbered. There's endangered live specimens. Now, a lot of people have theories on what exactly went down in this train car, but here's my headcanon on the matter. They captured a bunch of people. From the fact that it says live specimens, I'm guessing they knew these people were infected or about to turn, but maybe they didn't know the degree at which they had the potential to turn into. And unfortunately, someone in here turned into a tank. Maybe they did know this person was gonna become a tank and had to just do it anyways. It's horrible to think about. Humans are capable of doing horrendous things in time of crisis, and I think that zombie apocalypse films and video games depict that very, very well. There's a bunch of bodies, there's flashlights, there's just guts thrown everywhere. It is a possibility that this train was bombed or derailed by people not on the train, but I think it most likely had to do with something the train was carrying, and most obviously the tank. But I don't see how it could do this all while being trapped inside of the train car. That doesn't make any sense to me. Maybe there was crashed trains here, and maybe as the train was coming, it smashed into this area, blowing up all this stuff, which would explain why the train was still stuck here with the tank inside of it and not in the water. But we may never know. Let me know your guys' theories down below in the comments. I always look forward to reading them, and that's gonna be it for today's video. Thank you guys so much for checking it out, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Make sure if we hit that 1,000 likes, I will post 2 pictures of my bunny. If you're subscribed, you'll see them on your homepage. You won't have to come back or anything. So yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.